My name is Travis Johnson, and this is my presentation on psychological aspects of sport and exercise. The population that I chose to use for this whole course and for this assignment was a high school girls soccer team. This team ranged from freshmen all the way up till seniors and had a wide variety of both experience and skill, some of them having played for only about a year, whereas others of them have played for since they were 3. The reason why I chose this population was firstly because I was interested in the psychology of these players, how it affects their participation in soccer and their overall performance in games. Secondly, I was interested to see how this group is affected by their surroundings. A lot of them, having grown up in similar situations, similar backgrounds, actually react differently to those different backgrounds, and I was interested in seeing how each of them responded to that. Thirdly, I was interested in seeing how this particular age and maturity level deals with the mental side of sport. Do they explicitly use it to their advantage? Do they not know anything about it? I was just interested in that whole idea. Looking at the background of this team and looking at the surrounding factor effects, I want to first talk about motivation. Looking at their original motivation, about half of these players first started playing soccer because their parents put them in it. Another quarter of them just wanted to try something new, and then the last quarter of them played for differing reasons. Some of them wanted to because their friends were playing or to make new friends, things like that. What this original motivation tells us that is that family culture plays a huge role in why some people begin, specifically on this team, why a lot of them began playing soccer, looking at their original motivation being impacted by family culture. This tracks with a lot of studies which have found that family is a major environmental factor in performance in sport. Looking at their current motivation, however, and their motivation to play well, it's a little different. Whereas over half of them want to play well for personal satisfaction. As you can see on this table, on this graph here, a lot of them really play just because they love soccer. The rest of them, who wasn't their main reason to play well, wasn't personal satisfaction. Some of them wanted to satisfy coach, satisfy teammates, and one person wanted the approval of the parents. Looking back at family culture, but a lot of them also with social environment, that is affecting their motivation now. Moving on to needs for feedback. When asked about their desire to play well, over half of them said that they want to play well for the approval of their parents. That points once again to family culture playing a role in this area. Even more of them, however, said that the approval of their teammates is important in their desire to play well. This points to their social environment playing a role in their performance, their need for feedback, and that whole topic. Lastly, every single player responded wanting the approval of their coach as a factor for their desire to play well. This looks at their physical environment, seeing as their coach on the team in which they happen to be in the school. This is the coach of that team, and where they physically are impacts their need for feedback. Moving on to anxiety and stress. Firstly, anxiety. Looking at nervousness on game day, when I asked about that, it was quite a wide range. Some of them are very nervous on game day, some are a little bit, and some aren't really at all. This shows us that it's probably not a physical environment which affects those who are nervous, given that they are not all feeling that. And if it was the team and a physical environment, they probably would all, or at least most of them, be feeling nervous on game day. Looking then at their causes of nerves, the most common one is disappointing coach and teammates. This points to their social environment being a big factor in anxiety. Another repeated answer was certain people, such as family, coming to watch. Once again, this looks back at family culture and how that affects their anxiety, therefore affecting their performance. Moving on to stress. Stress is very prevalent on this team. Every single one of the players, except for one, noted having stress in at least one area of their life. All but one of them reported school being a stress factor in their life. Looking at their physical environment, that it plays a role in the stress and their play on the field. About 63% said family and 63% also said friends are a factor for stress in their life, looking once again at family culture and social environment as factors which affect their performance. How this impacts their play, a few of them said they believe their stress impacts their game performance, and even more of them said it affects their attention and focus during practice. Over half of them said that their desire to compete is affected by stress in their life. All these factors show us that stress from their physical environment, social environment, and family culture can actually play a role on their performance within the sport. On the flip side, however, 84% of them, as shown in this graph here, say they believe that playing soccer is good for their stress and anxiety. and that actually helps to relieve that. This tracks with studies which have been done. For example, this one, which found that stress and anxiety can impact each other. They can play a role on performance, and it has been found that anxiety within sport can be correlated negatively with performance in that sport. Having looked at their surrounding factors and how that affects them, I've come up with a couple of goals for this team for the season. The first goal is to end the season on a 500 or better record, meaning they've won every game, at least half of their games, or more. Specific strategy to achieve this goal is to identify from the beginning team weaknesses, what they can do in practice specific drills to improve their weaknesses so as to create a more well-rounded team, both defensively and offensively, giving them a better chance to win games and end on a 500 record. A second outcome goal for this team would be to make playoffs. A specific strategy to complete this is when they play teams within the league, to take notes on them. So the second time that they play those teams again, they can practice attacking those weaknesses within their practices leading up and then focus on that in the game so that they have a better chance of beating that team the second time they see them, therefore increasing their chances of making the playoffs. Two performance goals then. One is to score a header goal, which is something that this team has struggled on in the past. A specific strategy, they would like to score a header goal at some point within the season. And a specific strategy to improve on this is to focus on heading practice at least once a week. This means doing drills to improve the willingness to header, their effectiveness in headering, and especially their crossing to provide more opportunities within games to score headers. A second performance goal for this team is to allow 3 goals or less in every single one of their games. Defensive teamwork and chemistry is important for this, so from the preseason and then throughout the whole season, specific areas should be focused on by the coaches, looking at working on offside traps, defending through balls, defending off the ball, listening to and working well with the keeper would all be specific areas they should focus on to try and achieve this goal. And then process goals. One process goal for this team is to play a possession style of football. Strategy to attack this is with the coaches to decide on and communicate clearly with the team tactics and strategies to help achieve this goal. Specific drills they can work on in practice would be looking at moving the ball quickly, ball control, moving off the ball, and then throughout the whole season placing an emphasis on playing possession football. And then lastly, another process goal is defending corners well, another area where this team has struggled in the past. A specific strategy for this would be work on it at least once a week in practices, and specifics would be to make sure every player knows how to defend man-to-man, how to defend back and front post, how to defend the short corner. If every player is comfortable in each of these areas, when it comes to game time, they are more able to defend corners well. That's what I have on this team and specific goals and strategies to fix that and their background and how that affects their play as a whole on the team. An important verse that I think is important going into the field I want to go into, which is education as a teacher as well as a coach, is Matthew 20:28, which says, "Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and give his life as a ransom for many." This says that we should, as Christians, as followers of Christ, follow after him and serve others just as he came to this earth to serve and not to be served. As a teacher and as a coach, really, we're serving our students and our players. We're helping them to improve or to get better or just to help have an overall better life. Another way to serve is to share the word and love of Jesus. And so I think in the field I want to be in, this is just an important verse to remember. Something that I learned from this course, which I think is very important, is the idea of self-efficacy, which is defined from the book as the perception of one's abilities to perform a task successfully. And it's really a situation-specific form of self-confidence. Firstly, self-efficacy, believing you're able to do something, increases one's motivation. They're more motivated to do well, more motivated to participate, more motivated overall. Secondly, the higher someone's self-efficacy, the better their participation behavior is. Someone is more likely to participate in something, in exercise, if they have a higher self-efficacy. Thirdly, if someone believes they're able to do something, they're going to set more challenging goals and therefore achieve more challenging goals. All three of these things together brings me to my fourth point, which is the fact that self-efficacy improves performance. I just think it's very interesting how if you perceive yourself as able to do something, you're more likely to improve in your performance, set more challenging goals, participate more often, and just have a better motivation. That's just something as a whole that I think is very interesting. And then these are my references, and thank you for listening to this presentation.